What's up guys, Commander Jaime here, and we got some more reviews for Aqua Force and even some golds. So let's get into it. The one for Aqua Force is Freestyle Rider, and it's a grade 3 that's 10k base. So the first skill it has continuous resist for the Vanguard circle and the Rearguard circle. And then the second skill is during your turn for each of your other units that has the wave ability or the resist keyword, this unit gets plus 2k. So what comes to mind is Scaros right off the back. So in the sense, more and more we're getting more resist units. So I think what comes to mind is a resist deck for Aqua Force, and in the sense that it could actually be good against control. So that way your players aren't being disrupted by G guards, or if during your turn they're doing massive retires or even locking to an extent. So this is kind of cool to maybe do a Scaros deck. And if you guys don't remember, Scaros basically gives the front row resist. But what's really good about the Freestyle Rider is that since he has resist and he's more likely going to be attacking, he won't be killed by cards like Denial Griffin or Spin by Hetero Hound and so on. So you can do the Lambros turn just fine. And of course he gets bigger too, which is kind of cool. And what comes to mind is you can play cards like Orphea. She's the one that you can Counter Blast, Soul Blast at the end of the battle with boosted. -5 the unit, restand it, so it makes it a Tidal Assault. She has resist. Melania, she's Davos support, so if you strike Davos, you can use her. She has resist, and of course gives you a card, and she gets +5 if she's attacking. And then of course you can play more resist units if you want to. I don't know if you really want to play cards like Milos, but you can. He's vanilla at this point of use because he has resist for the Vanguard, Rearguard, and Guardian Circle. And then the first skill is locked behind Legion. So unless you're playing Legion, you won't get much out of him besides being a resist unit. But again, this is basically just to help more facilitate of a resist unit, resist deck. So it gives control more run for their money in a sense. But I think it's a cool idea, and the fact that you can pair it up with other cards to help to get to the 4th battle. A good example is on a Lambros turn. My friend pointed this out. You have 2 of these Freestyle Riders on the front rows, Orphea's on the back, and then Astasia behind the Vanguard. And basically, Stacia poke, and then Rider poke, 4th wave, Lambros restand the 2, and then now they're 20k base, but since they're resist units, so does he count himself? No, he says other. So there's another copy of him, so that's 1, 2 Orpheus, and the other units aren't wave, so it's +6. So they're actually 16k on their own, and plus a Lambros boost makes it 26k by himself. And so when you attack, you can use Orphea to restand it and make it 21. And this is without triggers too, and so you're going to keep poking. And you can get from anywhere to 6 to 8 attacks depending on the Counter Blast and the cards you actually have on the field. But it's something to point out. I thought it was funny. On to golds. Let's see. Gurguit. So they got a new Gurguit strike, which is good. Makes Law Gurguit better. Gurguit Law looks for Gurguit name in the G zone face up, so this helps. So it has 2 skills. Once per turn, unite. Choose one of your face down G zone units with the same name as this unit and flip it face up. So it gets +1 drive, making it a quad drive check. Vanguard. You know, they're just throwing quad check to everything. But this is good. The second skill is GB3. For each of your regards, it gets +5. And then in the battle that this unit attacks, your opponent cannot call grade 1 or higher cards from their hand to Guardian Circle. So this is a guard restrict. It's like now all Paladin clans have quad checks, and Dragstrider, and now with this is a guard restriction stride. The first skill is not GB, so you can do this first stride. So first stride you can do quad check, assuming that you achieve unite, which is very easy in Gurguit, especially if you're on the new grade 3 Gurguit that released a couple sets ago. It basically does unite on stride, and it gives you a +1. And it also, since you're like calling stuff from your deck, you're more than likely gonna hit triggers because you're a Paladin deck. So that helps in the sense of checking a crit trigger or stand trigger or a heal trigger. And the fact that it gets power on the GB3 skill, where it's, you know, the guard restriction, is pretty strong. So if you have 5 rear guards, this is plus 25, and it's base 26, so this is 51 on its own. Quad check. Assuming that you did the first skill, but why wouldn't you? So I can easily see this card as a 4-off in the new Gurguit decks coming up once GBT 13 releases, so this is a pretty good card actually. What's cool, I think... Oh, that's the other thing. It's free. It's very important that it's free. The problem with Gold Paladins, they play cards like Jerry, the stand trigger. It's actually right here. He is good in the counter charging and soul charging aspect, but he's a stand trigger. And the one turn that he really doesn't benefit is the Glorious Reigning Dragon turn. And what I mean by that is that because you usually call a whole field that comes in stand anyway, you don't need a stand trigger. You'd rather have a crit or a heal at that point. So there might be a reduction in Jerry potentially in the future. So Gurguit might be able to play more crit or start facilitating draw triggers, but I doubt it because you're already calling a lot and you eventually get your cards back. But we'll see in time. And so that's an idea to probably extend to. The fact that he's free, it gives less stress on the deck that I need to counter charge as often as I can, so that way you're not shit out of luck, you know. And the other strat you will go into is Glorious Reigning, and when you do, you usually want to do it when you can call 3 or more, and so you can get the soul charge and the unflip, so that way it's free in a sense as well. So this guy is big. All the Gurguit strides actually serve a different purpose. The Radiant Sword is like, I'm gonna beat you by force. Law Gurguit is multi-attack with some buff, and if it's later in the game, it's massive buff. And then this guy has quad check with guard restriction. So if you really need to get through some PGs, then this is the guy to go. While the other two serve different purposes. And grade 2 is Knight of Sunny Day Salonius. The first skill is Unite. If you have a grade 4 or higher Gurguit Vanguard, all your units get plus 2k. So this gives you a field buff continuously. So any units that like show up during the battle phase will also see this, which is good. And then the second skill is the start of the guard step, in which your Gurguit Vanguard is attacked. You can place this unit into soul, and if you did, call the top 2 cards from your deck into Garden Circle. So this automatically already triggers Unite on your opponent's turn. This gives you shield value from the deck, and then this goes into soul, so that way it makes room for triggering Unite next turn. And also, since it triggers Unite, the new grade 3 Gurguit can use the cards in the back row to guard with if you really need to. And I think he's going to be playing a couple of ratios. I think maybe like anywhere from like 2 to 3 or maybe 4. I doubt it'll touch 4, but I mean, we'll have to see. What's nice is the power buff. It makes some numbers in certain occasions. A good example is if you're on Canaris with Law Gurguit, you'll get plus 2 from the Law Gurguit stride, so making it 11k. He gets plus 4, makes it a 15k. And anything outside of that, he's only 15 by himself. So with Salonius giving the plus 2 to everything, he'll actually reach 17k by himself, and now you can actually just poke with him, then poke with the Salonius column, and then do Law Gurguit on attack, call something, and now you have a new unit in front of the unit that still can boost. So that way, if you get crits, it's stacked on that column, and if you get stands, you could just restand Salonius, which by himself, if I remember correctly, all of your units gain plus 2. So he counts himself. So he's an 11k by himself. So if he just stands by a stand trigger, he'll be 11 or 16 if you give him the trigger or not. So it still synergizes well with the deck. So I think he will still see play in the coming up. So grade 1, Knight of Radiant Sun, Carinus. I'm going to say Carinus. The first one is if you have a Vanguard with the Unite ability, it gets the skill Continuous Resist on Rearguard Circle. So in a sense, Gurguit is getting their own resist unit, and besides like Marcia and so on, other units that you can play, this is just another card you can just mess with. And the second skill is an Act GB1 Unite. Rest this unit, choose one unit. During that turn, it gets plus 4, and then if you have a Gurguit Vanguard, choose one of your Rearguards with a different name from this unit. You can place it at the bottom of your deck, and if you do, draw 1 card and counter charge. So this is very good on like just generating advantage and also counter charging, which is pretty good. The problem with this card is that it has to fight with the grade 1s. So more specifically, we're talking about Jeffrey. That gives you a drawback, and also he puts himself into soul, so it gives you soul. And then we have Horsa, which makes your columns bigger and threatening, especially on a glorious raining turn or any massive period call, or chaining turn as well. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. This is what gives you your offensive turns as well, and this is what gives you your advantage. So you have enough hand shield to guard and then stride, of course, so you can proceed to your next turn and try to win the game. And of course, you got the PGs and the stride fodder. So I have no idea if he's going to be played at all, or maybe a few ratio, or he might squeeze in there. I'm sure people will try to squeeze him in. I like to squeeze him, maybe 1 or 2 of him, but I have no idea. I'm already playing like 14 grade 1s. I have to cut some grade 1s at that point. We're not like Shadow Paladin where we can play more grade 1s to have ritual, I guess. But yeah. Let's see. The last gold Paladin reveals for so far. Garmore. This Garmore grade 3 actually has Liberator in the name. So what's really cool about it is that basically it's a stride break or a stride bearer, as you call it. So when you stride, and you can counter blast, when you stride a Liberator or a Garmore on this card, you can counter blast 1. Look at the top 3, call 2 Liberator cards, and separate rear guard circles, and then place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is giving the Liberators their own like break stride. Also, this works with Garmore in general. So with the Garmore stride that released in GBT 10, yeah, 10, does not have Liberator in the name. It just has Garmore in the name, so that's important. So that's why they specify or Garmore. And then the second skill is GB1. Choose 2 of your Liberator rearguards, place them at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then you do this when your turn ends, and if you pay the cost, you draw a card. So this is basically very good for gold paladins in general. So the first skill, it's Instant Unite. You build your field. The second skill is I'm going to recycle those units back, move them out of the field too, and you'll get a draw out of it too. So you're recycling, you get in the hand size of it, you get a free field for the most part, and you activate Unite. This is literally very synergetic with gold paladins in general. This is good. And before I go more into him, I'm going to go over the grade 2s and grade 1s. The new one is Aja Gal Liberator. GB1, counter blast 1, soul blast 1. When this unit is placed on rearguard from deck via the effect of your card whose original name includes Liberator, you may pay the cost. If you pay it, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, call to 2 Liberators on separate rearguard, and place the remaining at the bottom. So it's basically the stride break skill. The one thing I don't like about this card, it specifically says if it's called by the effect of the unit whose original name is Liberator. So you can't basically use it on Glorious Rainy stride turn, any Gurguit stride turn, anything that doesn't have Liberator in the stride name. Your stride has to have Liberator in the original name. So this, I don't know. I also play Garmore, and I play the 12 stand variant with like 4 coels and 4 grade 3, so that kind of deck. If that deck's still around in that form, it probably won't play this. I'm not sure. Because part of the thing is, if you stride with the Garmore stride that's available right now, it doesn't have Liberator in the name, so you can't do this guy. So it defeats the purpose. So people are speculating there's going to be a new Liberator stride, and hopefully this will synergize well with these cards and so on. So I don't know if that grade 2 is going to see much play, but we'll have to see. The grade 1 is Liberator bought on Andalusian. It's once per turn, GB1. When another of your units is placed on a rearguard circle, if you have Liberator in the Vanguard name, during this turn this unit gets +7. It's once per turn. So this says placed on rearguard circle just in general. I would imagine you can just call from hand and then boom, I'm 14. So you could put this in front of a 7K and you're 21. Or this could be a 14K booster in general. If you do it against 9K, that makes 23K, which is still a good number. If you do this behind your Vanguard's +14. If you're on a stride, that makes it 40K by itself. And if you have any other thing that influences power, you're breaking a threshold every so often. But this is not bad. This might actually get used 1 or 2. It's just a free 14k attacker or a booster. And it has Liberator in the name, and it's a high base. So this is good for Garmore. Let's see what else we got. That's right. That was it. But going back to this guy. So one of the things that I want to try out is that I want to try this out in Bluish Flame. So we do have a Bluish Flame Liberator Stride that has Liberator in the name. So this is, I think at the moment, this is the only Liberator Stride we have in general. This is basically a no Liberator Echo Veil, and this only benefits more of like on the Legion deck. Because it does mill, so you gotta be wary of that. So you can do this first stride and it builds a field for less cost, which is good. And then he flips himself, so GB2 is online if you need it, which is what you want. Because Garmore XL actually recycles, you can actually probably use the GB8 with no problem. You can get multi-attack, and they're just going to be superior calling all the stuff, and so you can compos for days as your finishing turn. So that might make the GB8 actually relevant in golds. And of course, if you put this in Bluish Flames, you're going to have to make room, and I think what's still worth is Glare, because Glare is basically one of your finishers in the deck for Bluish Flames. So it makes sense that he will be your, in a sense, backup, but really it's just like, if I can do it, I can do it. Otherwise, I'll just stay on XL throughout the game. But with Glare, let's see where he is. There he is. You get the crit. Cards that help to get like the grade 3 Bluish Flame is Magnus. And this kind of hurts too, is that Magnus requires 2 Liberator cards in the Vanguard circle. So that means the original Stride card has to have Liberator as well if you're not Legioned. So that could hurt a bit. But again, we're waiting on a Liberator Stride potentially. And this also replaces the old Garmo, I would say. If you're playing the Garmo build, or you're playing 4 grade 3s anyway, I don't know if you can bump it up to 5 or 6. People might. I might try it out. And then you can play either 2 of these and 4 of them XL. Or you could just make room for other Liberator cards that, you know, that could be of use. So that's what that's what's on my thoughts, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. So see you guys.